Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we happily, maybe foolishly, trade in our solid grasp on reality for something, well, a lot stranger and, frankly, more interesting.
Definitely more interesting.
Today, we're really strapping in. It's going to be a seriously mind-bending ride. We're talking highly metaphysical stuff.
Deep end of the pool.
Totally. We're diving into cosmic creation, the architecture of the self, which is apparently quite complicated, and what it really means to be an artist, especially in a universe that, well, might just be wearing a disguise.
It's dense material, no doubt about it. But, it can also be incredibly liberating once you sort of get your head around it.
So what's our map for this journey? Where are we getting this wild information from?
We're focusing today on just one key source. It's really foundational stuff in consciousness studies. Section 31, it's from the early sessions, book 1 of the Seth material.
Okay, the early sessions, book 1, session 31.
Exactly. And this one was recorded way back on Monday, March 2nd, 1964. It came through Jane Roberts, of course, recorded by her husband, Robert Butts. Seth often called him Joseph, especially in these contexts.
Right, Joseph the artist. And our mission today, let's try and keep it straightforward if we can.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, right. We need to unpack Seth's, frankly, extraordinary explanation of how the cosmos gets created and this idea of a deeply divided personality, ours, apparently, and then connect that to the profound meaning behind art, behind creating things. We're going to navigate all this duality, the complexity, maybe even some existential wobbles.
Definitely some wobbles.
But keep it light, relaxed. Maybe even, dare I say, funny where we can.
Well, the source material helps. To set the mood, you really have to start with Seth's opening for this session.
Yeah.
It tells you right away this isn't some stuffy academic lecture.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He kicks off with that classic, almost cheeky greeting to Jane and Joseph, right? Good evening, Chickadees.
Yep, Chickadees. It immediately sets a different tone.
And the notes that Rob Butts took right after that, they just perfectly capture the vibe of these early sessions. So intense. Apparently, Jane was quite nervous beforehand.
Common for her, especially early on.
And their cat, Willie was acting totally bizarre. Just as the session started, he leaps up, crouches down, eyes wide, ears back, just completely alert.
Like he knew something was happening.
Totally. It's like Willie the cat was the first confirmation that, yeah, the energy in the room was definitely shifting. Someone else had arrived.
It paints a picture, doesn't it? High energy consciousness pouring in, a slightly anxious human channel trying to handle it, and then this little furry observer basically confirming, yep, something weird but real is going down.
It definitely prepares you for information that's going to shake up your whole concept of, well, everything.
Exactly. It's a heads up.
Okay, before we properly jump in, we absolutely have to make our mandatory declaration. It's important. This entire deep dive, everything we discuss, is based purely on the material found within the Seth material. We're distributing this conversation completely free of charge across all the major platforms, strictly for educational purposes.
That's key. Educational purposes only.
We deeply credit the Seth material itself and the publisher, New Awareness Network. And look, if this stuff sparks your interest, if it resonates,
which it probably will,
we strongly, strongly encourage you, the listener, to go study the books yourself. Go direct to the source. And check out the New Awareness Network website and their bookstore. It's at sethcenter.com. Software here. The early sessions.
Definitely worth the visit. Get the books.
Okay. Declaration made. Ready to jump into the deep end.
Let's do it. All right. So session 31, Seth dives right in. He addresses the big one, the question he'd kind of been circling around before this, the so-called creation of your universe and the why behind it all.
Ultimate origins question.
Yep. And he mentions that he needed to lay some groundwork first about how personality works, just so the answer could be even remotely understood.
Okay, makes sense. And the answer he gives, wow, it's completely radical. It challenges, well, pretty much any traditional view, religious or scientific, doesn't it?
Oh, fundamentally, the core idea, and we really need to hammer this home because it's everything. The core idea is you create your own universe.
Right, not God created it ages ago, but you, right now.
Exactly. It's not some single event lost in the mists of time. It's happening constantly. It's an ongoing act.
Yeah.
And he says each generation creates the universe anew in its own image.
In its own image. That implies our beliefs, our focus, shapes it.
Precisely. And this leads directly to his unforgettable term for the physical world. What we see, touch, measure. He calls it camouflage-patterned.
Camouflage-patterned. Yeah. So this solid seeming reality, this desk, this microphone, it's not the ultimate truth. It's a disguise.
It's a disguise. A very convincing, very necessary one. But yes, It's a calculated collective manifestation. It's woven together from a deep inner ideas and what he calls vitality for a specific reason.
Okay. Which means our whole historical quest for that single external creator figure, the traditional God concept.
That itself is part of the camouflage.
Wow. So looking for an external God is a misdirection.
Seth calls the God concept an idea camouflage covering something much different. We needed that external answer, that singular source, because our conscious minds, frankly, weren't ready. Still aren't, mostly.
Not ready for the implication that we are the source. That's terrifying, in a way.
It can be. If the mechanism, the how of us creating reality was completely obvious, then the need to look outside for a cause would just dissolve.
So how does it work then? If it's not magic, what's the mechanism? He talks about a growth principle operating in the realm of ideas. What does that actually mean?
Think of it like ideas have energy. They have a drive to manifest. These ideas bubble up, often starting in the subconscious. Maybe you feel it as intuition first, like a hunch. Or sometimes, if you're really open, maybe a full-blown inspiration hits you.
Okay, ideas as seeds. But seeds need soil, right? What's the raw material? How does an idea become, a brick wall?
That's where vitality comes in. The conversion process needs substance. Seth defines this core material as the vitality which exists. Let's call it prime vitality.
Prime vitality. Okay. Is that just like raw energy, like physics talks about energy, or is it more?
He describes it as more like pure, self-aware energy, the fundamental isness of reality. And this vitality, this conscious energy, is deliberately drawn upon.
By whom?
By the hidden inner self, what he calls the strong self-conscious self. This deeper part of you consciously pulls in that vitality and shapes it, forms it into physical properties, into the camouflage patterns.
So it's an active conversion. The inner self takes this infinite energy and disciplines it into finite stuff.
Exactly. It's an act of deliberate transformation. Inner self turns pure, boundless energy into a structured physical environment. And the reason it's camouflage is because that very act of structuring, of forming, necessarily limits the infinite possibilities. It hides the boundless source behind the specific pattern.
Okay, mine's slightly blown. So we're not just passive observers. We're constantly processing and converting conscious energy into these predictable forms.
Constantly, collectively.
Right, collectively. But if it's collective, why do we have these shared disasters? Earthquakes, floods, wars, things that feel utterly beyond individual control. Is that collective negative thinking manifesting? Or something else?
Seth implies it's more about the collective agreement on the necessary type of experience. The stability of the shared world is paramount for interaction. So if, hypothetically, enough entities agree that a certain planet needs, say, geological challenges to foster specific kinds of growth or problem solving.
Like learning resilience or cooperation under pressure.
Exactly. Then that collective idea, whether we consciously label it good or bad, will draw on the vitality needed to manifest that environment. The earthquake isn't necessarily a punishment. It's part of the agreed-upon stage design for the play.
The chosen set design. Wow. That shifts everything. So the material world isn't random. It's not an accident. It's a highly disciplined, constantly regenerating projection designed for specific, often tough experiences.
Less like a random walk,
Yeah.
more like an incredibly complex shared psychological theater. Or maybe an intense simulation we've all signed up for.
Okay, so to even operate in this camouflage theater, Seth says our personality needed a special setup, a dual system.
A dual consciousness.
And he notes something interesting here. He says these two parts of us, these two self-consciousnesses, are often more divided and alien to themselves than need be.
That's a key phrase. It implies the separation isn't absolute or mandatory. It's maybe become exaggerated. A side effect of intense focus on the physical.
So let's break down this architecture. How does it work? You mentioned 3 components.
Yeah, we can look at it in 3 functional parts. It helps explain how creation happens from our perspective and why there's this division.
Okay, part 1.
First, you have the strong self-conscious self. This is the deep inner you, the part that faces inward towards the fundamental reality, the what is. This is the true originator.
And the source within us.
Yes, this is the part that consciously understands and draws upon that vitality and stuff of what is. It initiates the whole process of converting energy into matter. It knows it's creating.
Okay, the inner powerhouse. What's next?
Second, there's the crucial link.
Yeah.
Subconscious, think of it as the bridge, the channel, the translator. the pipeline between the inner and outer selves.
So the energy, the ideas, they flow through this.
Exactly. It's the pathway where the vitality flows and where the creative impulses from the inner self get disciplined, shaped, and prepared for physical manifestation. It's the essential connection.
Got it. Inner self, subconscious link. And the third part must be us, right? The everyday me.
Pretty much. Third is the conscious ego. Seth sometimes calls it the manipulator. This is the part facing outward, interacting with the camouflage world. It's the primary manipulator of camouflage patterns, the one that seems like the obvious mover in our physical lives.
The one driving the car, paying the bills.
Making the podcast, yes. And here's the absolute crucial point, the reason for the division. This outer consciousness, the ego, cannot be aware of the actual inner originator. It's designed that way.
It has to be ignorant of its own source. Why?
That's the ultimate discipline. Think about it. If your conscious mind, your ego, truly knew that your deeper self was creating this body, this room, this whole situation right now, would you feel any urgency? Would you bother solving problems?
Probably not. The challenge would evaporate. The stakes would feel, well, fake.
Exactly. The ego must look for causes outside itself, a list of physics, biology, social circumstances, other people, because it's constitutionally incapable of seeing the inner source. Its job is to engage with the effects with the camouflage.
So the ego is like a highly specialized filter. Blinders on, focused only on the physical track.
A brilliant description. It has to accept the camouflage world as fundamentally real to interact effectively within its rules. If the ego had full, constant access to the inner self's power and memory, the whole physical game would lose its meaning.
So that subconscious link, it's fascinating. It's where the two worlds touch, but the ego rarely gets a clear view through it, like a one-way mirror, mostly.
Or maybe a heavily filtered connection. Information flows out to shape reality, but direct awareness flowing back to the ego is limited. It keeps the ego focused on the physical task at hand.
But not totally blocked, right?
Yeah.
Seth mentions intuition.
Right. And sometimes humanity gets these flashes of insight through that link.
Yeah.
Ideas that disrupt the standard camouflage view. He brings up the old idea of spirits pervading all physical matter, animism. He says that ancient belief represents an intuitive glimpse into reality, a glimpse of the vitality and consciousness inherent in everything. And he adds, kind of wryly, that our sciences will eventually get there too, but only in a long-labored manner.
Huh. So ancient intuition got there first. That's a nice validation. It's like the ego sometimes catches a blurry reflection of its deeper self in the subconscious window.
A very good analogy.
But if this division is more alien than need be, as he said, how do we bridge that gap better? Is the goal just to, like, punch holes in the filter, access the subconscious more?
The goal, it seems, isn't to destroy the ego's focus that's needed for physical life. It's about increasing the overlap, the communication, the collaboration between the two selves.
Okay.
By consciously engaging the inner senses through focused attention on dreams, through meditation, through creative visualization, and as we'll get to, especially through art. When we do that, we gently nudge that subconscious channel open a bit wider.
Letting more of that inner knowledge and vitality flow through more consciously.
Exactly. It allows for more cooperation. Instead of two separate entities kind of awkwardly sharing a vehicle.
They learn to drive together.
Beautifully put. The separation keeps the game engaging, preserves the urgency, but better collaboration unlocks much greater creative potential within the camouflage system itself. It's the ultimate team effort happening inside each of us. Okay, so shifting focus now from the individual self, zooming out to the cosmos. Seth talks about the origin of the universe, and here he means physical systems, stuff we see with telescopes.
The big picture creation.
Right. And he says it originated simply because enough entities needed certain types of experience to warrant such a creation.
Wait, entities needed experience, so the universe wasn't just there, it was created on demand.
Created based on a collective need, a conscious agreement among these.
Yeah.
Well, let's call them fundamental consciousness units or entities. The need for a certain kind of playground preceded the playground itself.
Okay, that's already a big shift. But then he talks about the timeline for Earth's creation, and this is where my brain starts to melt a little.
Join the club. It requires ditching linear time completely. It's absolutely staggering.
Lay it on us. What's the claim?
He states, quite clearly, that the first particle of matter, the very beginning spark of our physical world, materialized because of the will and vitality of all the entities that would ever dwell upon the earth that would come after.
Hold on, let me process that. The first particle appeared because of the will of entities who would live here later.
Correct.
Beings not yet born on Earth somehow existed then, and their intention reached back and sparked creation.
That's the implication. It's retrocausality on a cosmic scale. The future is literally pulling the past into existence.
Wow. Okay. That's the definitive aha moment, isn't it? Or maybe the ha moment. It completely demolishes cause and effect as we know it.
Utterly. Linear time is just a convention within the camouflage, not the fundamental reality. Seth actually connects this to concepts we sort of accept without thinking, like the religious idea that God always was and always will be.
Yeah. How does he connect it?
He applies that same eternal quality, not to a single external God, but to the individual units of consciousness themselves, he says. The fact is that entities always were and always will be, though not necessarily in the same form.
So we, or the deeper us, are eternal. We don't have a beginning or an end, just different forms.
Exactly. We are self-aware, constantly generating portions of energy or vitality. Timeless. The creative force isn't some historical figure. It's the collective, eternal nature of consciousness itself, composed of these vast, enduring entities.
And these entities, they don't just live one life, obviously. They manifest in different ways.
Many ways. He says they utilize personalities, and he defines a personality as a capsule of itself or even compartments. Think of it like the entity is a whole hard drive, and a personality is a specific software program running, neatly divided off with its own memory cache.
So my current life, my me, is like one compartment of a much larger eternal entity.
That's the idea. And this entity, this larger self, has likely helped construct many universes, many different camouflage systems, not just this one, each designed for exploring different kinds of challenges and experiences.
That's actually really comforting, the idea that I am not just this fragile thing that popped into existence and will pop out again, but a durable, focused part of something eternal, specifically designed for this intense physical ride.
It reframes mortality completely.
Okay, if we are eternal, how can the conscious ego, stuck here in clock time, ever get a real sense of that eternity? It feels so abstract.
Seth gives a practical tip here. He stresses the importance of using what he calls psychological time.
Psychological time, okay.
He says even small experiments with it can give you valuable insights. Using it consciously can open doors to immediate first-hand experience of many facets of reality that words struggle to explain.
Sounds good, but what is it? How do you use psychological time? Is it like daydreaming?
It's more focused than daydreaming. Psychological time isn't measured by clocks. It's the felt sense of the present moment, where past and future aren't just memories or projections, but coexisting potentials and realities within your consciousness.
Okay. How do I access that?
You shift your focus inward, away from external timekeeping, towards the quality of your inner experience. Seth suggests things like deep focus on intuition, really working with dream recall, or engaging in intense creative visualization. By doing that, you start to bypass the ego's rigid A then B then C thinking.
So instead of remembering the past as over there, I might feel it as still present within me.
Exactly. You perceive it as a simultaneously existing reality held within your own awareness. It's essentially practicing a form of meditation aimed at breaking the illusion that life is just one thing after another in a fixed sequence.
You start using the inner senses more, trusting them as much as the outer ones.
Precisely. To directly experience that core truth, Seth keeps repeating, all entities, including your deeper self, are self-aware portions of energy or vitality without beginning or end.
So, physical laws, evolution, cause and effect, they're real within the game, within the camouflage.
They're necessary disciplines for this specific reality system. They provide structure and integrity. But they're self-limiting rules. They don't apply to the entities themselves, only to their focused compartments, the personalities, while they're playing this particular game.
All right, let's bring this down to something maybe a bit more relatable. Seth uses a great analogy, comparing our waking world to our dream world.
Yeah, it's a really helpful one.
He basically says, look, you use your energy to create your dream world every night, right? Just like you use your energy to create your real world during the day. Both are creations.
Both are valid constructions using your own consciousness and vitality, but they operate under different rules, different codes of conduct, you could say.
And the main difference comes down to consistency.
Exactly. Consistency and coherence. In the dream world, your hidden self, your inner creator, has much more freedom. Why? Because that world only needs to make sense to you.
Right. Weird stuff can happen in dreams. Timelines jump around.
Precisely. Dream images have duration and reality in psychological time, but they usually lack stability and shared coherence in physical time. They flicker in and out.
Whereas the physical world, the camouflage, That requires a massive collective agreement, a certain giving up of individuality, as Seth puts it.
It has to. For this shared reality to work, the environment needs to appear more or less the same to everyone. We need dependable coherence. Otherwise, society, interaction, even simple things like driving, it all falls apart.
The traffic lights need to be red for everyone at the same time.
Basically, yes. That discipline, that agreement makes interaction possible. But it can also feel really constraining, right? Especially for individuals whose inner selves are bursting with unique energy and vision.
Yeah, if you feel like there's more to reality than just the agreed-upon physical stuff.
And this, Seth says, is where art comes in. It's a crucial merge point, a kind of third way. For people with really strong inner selves who need to express more individuality than the standard camouflage allows, they find a way to create another plane in waking hours.
Through art. So painting, writing, music. It's like building a little pocket dimension.
In a way, yes. It's an escape valve, maybe. A dedicated channel where the inner self gets to speak more directly without being totally bound by the strict rules of collective physical agreement.
How does that work, mechanism-wise?
It's elegant, really.
Yeah.
During the act of genuine artistic creation, that focused, intense process, the subconscious channel, that link between inner and outer self, it's allowed to open to a great degree.
Ah, the filter gets thinner.
Exactly. And this allows the inner self and the outer ego to actually work together in a concentrated way. It's a real merging. You've got eternal inner data, inner vision being actively transformed and disciplined into a physical form.
So the artist isn't just rearranging paint or words. They're literally forcing their inner vision, their unique vitality out into the camouflage world.
Yes, giving their inner realities a physical foothold, a reality, and Seth puts that word in quotes, that's usually denied to fleeting dreams. It's a materialization, taking something from psychological time and anchoring it in physical time.
That makes artistic creation sound incredibly significant, like a genuine act of world building on a small scale.
Seth describes it as a genuine creation of another plane, achieved consciously from within the constraints of the camouflage. It's an achievement precisely because the hidden self manages to use the outer conscious self to combine two realities into one expression that others can then perceive.
Okay, this leads us to maybe the most mind-blowing claim in this whole section, directed right at Joseph Robert Butts, the artist recording the session.
It's a big one.
Seth tells him, the paintings of an artist to some degree have a consciousness of their own.
Astonishing, isn't it?
Consciousness in a painting. How?
And he goes further. He says these paintings are not completely powerless on the physical plane. They can exert influence.
Influence, like affect people who look at them or change the energy of a room.
The implication is yes, both. What Seth seems to be suggesting is that because the creation wasn't just mechanical manipulation, but involved that direct, conscious merging of the eternal inner self with the focused ego, the resulting object is more than just inert matter.
It's imbued with something.
Imbued with a degree of independent awareness, a spark of the consciousness that created it. It has power within the physical system because it acts as a living junction point between the inner reality and the outer camouflage.
Wow, okay. That completely changes how you'd look at a powerful piece of art. It's not just pigment, it's a presence.
A residual presence of the intense creative act, carrying the energy signature of the inner self.
Does this apply only to, like, fine art? What if I, build a really nice chair? Does my chair have consciousness?
Well, Seth would say everything is made of vitality and has some degree of consciousness, but it's about the intensity and focus of the creative act. Building a chair is usually driven more by the ego manipulating existing patterns for function, right?
Yeah, usually.
When an artist is deep in that zone, forcing a profound, non-linear inner vision into a resistant physical medium, the degree of conscious energy transferred through that open subconscious channel is way, way higher. The painting, or the sculpture, or the symphony becomes a dedicated vessel for that specific, potent energy signature from the inner self.
So it's about the energetic charge, the unique stamp of inner individuality that gets embedded and persists in the physical form. Like a beacon.
Something like that. A beacon of inner reality shining within the camouflage. It's a pretty powerful thought for anyone who creates anything, really.
Okay, let's pull back again for a second to the big picture context that holds all this together. Seth uses that great analogy. We, the entities, create these stages like Earth to act out their problems.
Right. We build the sets, write the scripts.
But here's the crucial part for the play to work. Once it starts, the actors have to forget they wrote it. They have to forget they built the sets.
Total immersion. And the notes say Jane or Rupert actually laughed when Seth mentioned this. Yeah, because she recognized the truth in it.
Mhm.
If you knew consciously that the crisis you're facing is just an imaginary scenario you designed for your own growth or entertainment.
You wouldn't take it seriously. The urgency, the drama, the need to strive and overcome, it would all just deflate. It would be boring.
Exactly. The whole system relies on this temporary compartmentalized amnesia. Our ego, forgetting its deeper origins, allows us to fully engage, to really feel the challenges and dramas we've set up for ourselves.
Keeps the play interesting, keeps us on our toes.
Precisely.
Okay, so speaking of engagement and challenges, the session then takes a turn, right? It moves into a really practical ethical discussion. And it came up because of something that had upset Jane personally.
That's right. She'd been quite disturbed over the weekend. Apparently, police had been shooting starlings, flocks of birds near an art gallery. It bothered her enough that she wrote a poem about it, expressing her outrage.
Wow, okay. And Seth addresses this directly.
He does. He validates her emotional reaction, interestingly. He notes that while from one perspective, the birds were just meeting a natural end within the system, the emotional value behind the act of killing them was fundamentally flawed in that instance.
Ah, the motivation matters.
Hugely. And this leads him to make a really important distinction about karmic consequences.
Okay, this is crucial stuff. What's the distinction?
He says that killing for genuine self-protection or killing natural prey as part of the food chain within the accepted boundaries of necessity, that does not involve karmic consequences.
So nature's rules, survival, that's sort of built into the camouflage system's operating principles.
So it seems so. It's part of the agreed-upon discipline for this physical plane. However,
Confirms the but.
right, killing for nothing more serious than convenience or to kill for the sake of killing, that, he says, does involve rather dire consequences.
Dire consequences. So it's not just the act, it's the why, the intention behind it.
Absolutely. The focus is squarely on the internal state, the emotional value driving the action. He even says the lust for killing brings dire consequences regardless of, in many cases, the particular living thing or things that is killed.
Wow. So the feeling of wanting to destroy that energy itself is what creates the negative karma, almost more than the target.
That seems to be the core message. The psychological and emotional state of the actor, the quality of the energy you're projecting, is the primary thing. It often outweighs the specifics of what is being affected. You're judged, so to speak, by the quality of your own output.
That puts a lot of responsibility back on our internal state, doesn't it?
Completely.
Okay. Before the session wraps up, Seth throws in some really charming personal little details, doesn't he? Grounding all this high-flying philosophy right back in Jane and Joseph's living room.
Yeah, I love these bits. They make it feel so real. Remember Willie the cat at the start?
Crouching, eyes wide.
Yeah. Seth confirms Willie did sense him, but adds that Willie is rather acquainted with me now. Like, oh yeah, the invisible entity guy. He hangs out here sometimes. The cat's just used to it.
The cosmic energy is now just part of the furniture. That's hilarious.
And then there's a moment where he confirms he was picking up on Joseph's unasked question about someone they knew, a Miss Callahan. A little proof of unsolicited telepathy happening right there.
Nice. But my absolute favorite personal bit has to be the most human one.
Let me guess. Smoking.
Yep. Seth apparently starts bawling Rupert out in strongest terms about his smoking habits, giving her a cosmic health lecture.
And the best part is the note that Jane, the medium, knew this was coming. She'd sensed it earlier and had been nicely blocked the information. Her ego was actively resisting the lecture from the entity speaking through her.
Even entities from other dimensions care about your lung health. That's strangely comforting. And proves Joan was definitely not making this up. Who would invent being told off?
Exactly. And then one last little practical thing. He congratulates Joseph on his latest manipulation of camouflage pattern.
Which was?
A small bookshelf divider Joseph had built for their entryway, just a simple bit of DIY.
And Seth congratulates him on that.
Yeah. And there it says, this marks the end of his physical suggestions for their living space, adding the room's energy situation is now very much better. It's this lovely little acknowledgement of Joseph's everyday physical creativity. Even building a shelf is a valid use of the creation principle.
Grounding the cosmic in the concrete. Perfect. Hashtag tag outro.
So if we try and wrap up the essence of this incredibly rich session, session 31, what are the main takeaways?
Well, first, that we are fundamentally self-aware bits of eternal energy, not just physical bodies. We're non-linear, timeless entities.
Right. And we're consciously operating within this physical reality, this camouflage, which we ourselves helped create. And it's designed for intense, focused experience.
And that division within us, the inner creator self and the outer focused ego, That split is necessary to keep the experience feeling real and urgent. It makes us engage fully.
Though maybe, as Seth hinted, it's become a bit too divided sometimes.
Yeah, more alien than need be. And crucially, art emerges as this vital bridge. It's the place where the eternal inner reality gets to intentionally materialize within the disciplined physical world.
It's where the two selves can consciously collaborate, giving the inner dream real, tangible form and influence.
So bottom line, we are creators, not just passive observers. And that creation is happening constantly from the inside out, driven by our consciousness, our ideas, our vitality, and it's fundamentally timeless.
And this section really drives home that the process is key, the internal act of creation, and importantly, the emotional value, the intention behind our actions within the camouflage.
Yep.
That's where the real work lies.
Okay, so here's the final provocative thought for you, our listener, to maybe noodle on this week. Seth uses that image of the subconscious channel being like a long tube of the telescope. Usually the inner self looks through it to create the outer world. But he hints the inner self can also occasionally look out through the outer senses, using the ego's eyes, reversing the usual flow.
Right, getting a direct peek at the camouflage world it normally just projects onto.
So the question is, what might you see? What deeper layer of reality might you perceive if you consciously tried to shift your focus? If you tried looking through that inner lens as your primary view, instead of just accepting the surface camouflage at face value?
That's a deep one to sit with. What happens when the creator consciously observes its own creation through the actor's eyes?
Exactly. Food for thought. We really hope you explore these ideas more. Again, we highly recommend studying the Seth material books directly. And do visit the New Awareness Network at sethcenter.com/early sessions.
And just a reminder, we're distributing this discussion totally free of charge on all major platforms, purely for educational exploration.
Right. And now, borrowing Seth's sign-off for this session, good night, Peaches.
Peaches. Gotta love it.
Try and keep those two parts of yourself talking to each other this week. And keep diving deep.